Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So today's video is going to be another bit of a news and update video, this time in regards to the possibility of a brand new track being leaked for Gran Turismo 7. So this would be the first new track to Gran Turismo 7 since all the way back in February of 2023, alongside the PSVR2 update, which we all know was Grand Valley Highway 1. Since then we have had Nürburgring layouts and such, but we've not had a full-blown brand new track added to the game, and this would make it the fourth track release in the game's life cycle. It seems to be plodding along at a very slow rate. However, it's a bit more understandable since they've got to build a lot of these from scratch. Now, if you remember rightly, Gran Turismo actually has an IMSA license. So because of that license, it explains the additions of Watkins Glen coming to the game kind of middle of last year, pretty much at the same time frame we're at now, and Road Atlanta, which came in November of 2022, both IMSA tracks. We also had the addition as well in February of Grand Valley Highway 1, again a bit poorly received, mainly because it took an original track from the Gran Turismo games of old and absolutely butchered it. That doesn't really take away from the fact that it's a visually stunning track, and in its own right it's fairly okay, but I think the main reason was, or the downside of that track was that it kind of held the name Grand Valley, which is treasured by many, and that was ultimately its downfall. So it does seem like the whole IMSA license thing is going to continue on into the future for GT7 track releases. This time, as you can see by the screenshot, it is rumoured that it will be Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which is obviously the Canadian Grand Prix track, and that's where we see it most of the time, around the likes of Formula 1 and such, and I believe it does host a round of IMSA from time to time. I'm not sure if it's on every single season, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of listed on the website and such when I've gone to have a look. So it is possible that this kind of makes sense. If they're making use of the IMSA license, they've already got Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta and such, then well, why shouldn't this circuit come to the game? So another thing this also details is a bunch of course layout data. So this was obviously pulled from 1.34. It goes on to say dawn, sunrise, daytime, afternoon, sunset and night, which would actually explain the different times of day that will be available at this track. Now, I'm unsure if that means that we would, I guess, not get weather with it, as surely there'd be a bit of code there for rain or wet weather and such. So that's kind of unconfirmed at the minute. And would I take this as set in stone? Now, I'm seeing a lot of people around the world of Gran Turismo basically posting this to the likes of Twitter, Facebook, basically saying it's officially coming, and in all honesty, I would just take it with a pinch of salt, mainly for the reason that a lot of things get scanned or added into the game and then really never show up. There's a bunch of car code that is, from the leaked car list that we'll probably never see, the likes of Lotus and such, as well as cars being scanned all the time and people assuming that just because Polyphony's scanned it in, it's going to be added at a time very soon. It might not necessarily ever happen. Now, another thing to note as well, this doesn't seem to necessarily come from its usual source or the usual leaked sources, which we usually see the likes of, Nenkai and a bunch of the other kind of data miners for Gran Turismo, pulling these files up and speaking about it, usually well in advance. And, well, it seems like it's been fairly silent on their end for the longest time, and, they're usually the most reliable sources. It does seem that this source came out of absolutely nowhere. However, when I was reading through the comments of the Reddit post, it did then go on to say, a couple of people, I believe, were saying like it is in the code. So it does appear that Polyphony have added the code in at some point. But if we look back to the last time this happened, in Nürburgring sprint and endurance layout, or whatever the hell it was called back then, we did get the code added in, I believe, towards the end of 2022, towards the start of 2023, and they didn't come until I believe about April or May time of 2023. So there is the possibility that this could come. However, it is also possible that it could be a while off yet, or it could just all of a sudden appear in the next update. However, if this code is in the game and other people are confirming that the code's there, it does seem like there's a high chance that this will eventually come to GT7. So if you're wondering what this track actually is, or if you've never heard of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, well, it's actually here, present in the latest Formula 1 release and pretty much every Formula 1 game release prior to that. It's obviously the Canadian Grand Prix circuit, and I'm going to take you through a quick lap now. As you can see, the layout, it's almost a bit of a shorter track, you know, in terms of Formula 1 cars and such. In terms of how it's laid out, they've got some really nice, you know, sort of technical sections. It's very, very quick. And you do obviously have the Wall of Champions at the end, which is probably one of the most notorious sort of parts of any track to ever feature in motorsport, as well as some very, very fast sections where you're going to be absolutely flat out. Now, would I, you know, assume that this track would necessarily work for Gran Turismo 7? 100%. I think it would be an absolutely fantastic addition. So if you are wondering what this track looks like, here you go. So I'm going to assume there'll be a few people that'll be kind of on the fence, or the complete opposite side of this argument, that, well, you know, it's another official track. Gran Turismo has all of these, you know, original tracks that they could put in, and whilst I fully agree, I certainly think the inclusion of some of these more, I guess, lesser known in terms of console racer circuits actually coming to the game is a big deal. You know, we've had the likes of Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, and now the possibility of, you know, the Canadian Grand Prix circuit being in the game, you know, one that we don't really see anywhere other than the Formula 1 games. You know, all of these tracks have been fantastic for kind of, you know, bringing in some less common real world tracks. And whilst I'd still like the idea of the original tracks being remastered, if some of the remasters are anything to go by, you know, it's a kind of risk. Let's be quite honest. Polyphony have been butchering a bunch of the original tracks lately, and I don't know if I can necessarily handle any more tracks getting absolutely butchered that I fondly remember from my childhood. So yes, does it seem that they are actually making use of some of the licensing they have? Yes, it does seem that they are using that IMSA license rather quite well. However, would this necessarily, you know, kind of build up any hype for the game or necessarily bring players back? And I honestly think so. I think this is a very, very good addition to the game. It's personally one of my favorite tracks in terms of, you know, the Formula 1 games and such. So to see it in GT7 and be able to race every car possible on this track, it is certainly going to be a pretty awesome time. So with Polyphony obviously holding an IMSA license, let's hope next time, or at least alongside this track if it ever does come, that they actually start to include the IMSA cars. That would be a game changer for this game. It would be absolutely incredible to see all those official IMSA cars start getting fed into the game alongside some of the official IMSA tracks. That would be an absolutely insane addition. So in conclusion, should you expect this track anytime soon? Not necessarily. The leak itself, coming from someone that doesn't necessarily leak stuff, or not at least a source that I necessarily would go to, kind of, you know, puts me in a little bit of doubt. However, it does appear that the code is in the game. So if anything like the likes of the Nordschleife different layouts kind of are anything to go by, it could be a bit of a wait yet, but it does appear that the code is in the game. Obviously I cannot go and confirm this myself, however it does seem that multiple other people are saying yes, the code is there. So is it possible this will come to the game? 100%. You know, it would make sense alongside the other IMSA tracks, but overall I would just take it with a little bit of pinch of salt and hold off the hype just until we hear something official or from a more reliable source from the likes of Nenkai and Co. So that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe to stay up to date with everything Gran Turismo 7 as well as classic Gran Turismo content, which I'm hoping to bring you by tomorrow. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll have my Discord, my Twitter and my donation link down in the description below. Have a fantastic day, guys. Peace.